Okay, I am going to do I'm going to do a hollow globe. Let me zoom out so we can see what's going on. And I'm going to start out, I'm going to give you 2-4 on this one. Okay, I'm going to start out by making a ball, and I'm going to do it as a ball. You don't have to do it as a ball, but I'm going to teach you how to do that too. If you take the diameter, multiply it by 2.293, that is that point there. This distance from here to here is the diameter times 0.414. And again, these are the only two numbers you really got to remember. And I've done one additional thing here off the end, because if I try to go down too small here, I get too much vibration. So I'm taking I've taken this midpoint down here. And I've already transferred those dimensions to here. This is the first point here. That point there is here. This point actually is here, and the midpoint of it is what this is, and I've turned this point down to here. On the outside of it, on the end, I've marked this dimension right here on the end of it. Okay, now what I can do when I start turning this, all I have to do is cut the corners off, and I'm really close to a round ball at that point. So let's cut the corners off. And zoom back in on this one. Okay, that's the first corner. Okay, now the points on this ball that actually are touching the sphere, the ball is that point, and the center point here. Those are the points that actually touch if you're making a true ball. So I just round in between them. Well, I'm not supposed to do it that way, but. And I'm going to take a little more off because that skate across there. Check where that skate was to make sure I'm still okay. And got to take one more cut. I know I'm not supposed to put my tool in at an angle, but I don't pay attention to it half the time. Okay, now what I have found that I'm better off now, I used to drill my hole all the way through, but I'm better off now if I only drill the hole down to this point. That gives me a reference to where my bottom is. So I'm gonna measure that, and I'm at 40 millimeters. I like to use, it's easier than messing with the percents. Now, my way of doing this, and let me come out with it so you can see. I'm going to advance this quill till it just starts cutting. Then I am going to line up 40 millimeters to a mark I have on my quill. Or I can line it up to the front. I can just line it up to the front of the quill. So the 40 millimeters is lined up to that point. Now when I advance this, that's lined up there, and so I've advanced 40 millimeters. And next step is to hollow this out, and it's the traditional hollowing that everybody's used to on hollowing. It's the traditional hollowing that everybody sees. I've got this hole drilled into it, and then I'm going to do this first little section, the second one, and the third one, and then I'm going to come back with the straight tool and do the same thing coming in and get as far down here as I can. I can feel the bottom, so I know where I can sweep this tool back in here. Then after that, I need a hook tool to get in there. And the two tools I'm going to use, this is a straight tool, and it has a little bitty, small, tiny carbide on it. I think it's an 8mm carbide. And I am going to use a hunter cutter that is a hook, has a hook on it. It's the same cutter, but it's hooked over. The other tool I'm going to use is this here. It's a homemade tool. It was a piece of aluminum bar hammered down, and I'll show you how to use it. I use it as a scoop out of that, and I can actually use it with the lathe running without having to stop it each time to clean it out. So, get in a little bit closer. That's number one. That's the second one. Now cleaning it out, all I do is stick this at a slight angle and the shavings pop out. Okay, I found the bottom. So I've got 1, 2, and 3 done. Now, one thing you don't, unless I was going to pierce this or something, I don't worry about being 100% perfect on the wall, consistent wall thickness. The whole purpose of what I'm doing is reducing weight. Okay, I've got as far down as I can with the straight tool. Now I need to swing the tool rest away a little bit because I don't want, when I'm turning, I like to have it resting here, not here. If it's here, I can get a twisting motion. But if I keep it closer to that middle part, I'm better off. So, and what I have right now, this end is cut pretty straight. I have a little bump right in this area here on it. So this little area's got a bump inside of it, that inside, hollow outside. So I'm trying to get in there. Okay, let's roll it out. Then I'll sand it. let me reduce the size on this side over here now. I've turned the speed down a little bit like I was supposed to have done to start with. I'm bad about not doing that all the time. Oh, sure. That's grit sandpaper. Oh, this is 220.
So, y'all, I think we have about 4 minutes until this meeting. Well, I guess we'll try and get this organized again while we're getting other people back in here. So, Trey, did you have more that you wanted to show us, or did we get to the end of your video before it shut off on us?
I was told it shut off somewhere around.
You were right on the back side of that.
As I was taking it off of it.
Yeah.
So that was pretty much all I had to do. Was just parting it off.
Okay.
Then I'll take it. Then after that, I'll take and just sand the bottom.
Okay.
And
there was definitely some people, Trey, that I was letting into the meeting after you'd already started. So could you just kind of talk it again right quick, what it was that you were making?
Okay. This is what I made. Is a hollow sphere. Now, and let me pull my cheat cards out. I turned it as a
part that quite a few people missed this part. They weren't in the meeting yet.
Yeah. If you want to turn around ball, these are magic numbers on here. That's a ball. That's the square that you're starting with. And when you're turning, the lathe turns the other turns this direction round. But that point right there is 0.293 times whatever the diameter is. And the diameter of the one I started with was 52 millimeters, so it was going to be 15.2 millimeters. From that point to that point is 0.414 times the diameter. And in my case, times 52 is going to give me 21.2. And then that one's the same. That is marked off at this point here. I have these points marked. And I also picked the midpoint here. Instead of coming all the way down here, if I'm holding and chucking on this end, if I go all the way down here, I got too small a tendon and get a lot of vibration. So this was just to maintain mass. But after you mark those points, you just come and cut these into it. And the next step is take a center point. You take that center point was already there, but that's a center point, and that's a center point, are points that touch the circle, and you just cut those things, and now you have basically a perfect sphere, or a perfect ball. After you've done that, you'll take, if all you're doing is a ball, you take it, rotate the axis, and then turn the opposite directions. But this is what I did to start with. I then, after that, I took a drill and drilled into that point right there and started hollowing. Taking the hollowing tool, coming in here, cleaning that out, and working my way down this way until I could get as far down and far over with this tool. The next one I did was moving in here and swinging this over here to be able to clean this up. And I have a little bump here, and I went in and cleaned that bump up afterwards. The other tool I was using was this one here. It was nothing more than a piece of aluminum scoop. And if you hold it at a slight angle, it sort of feeds the shavings out of the sphere, and you don't have to turn it off all the time and blow it out. Then I clean this area up here, cut this here, and then separate it off. Now this side here, I would just hand sand it. The only other trick that I showed that I consider is a neat trick is that if I want to advance my quill or a drill bit a precise distance, let's say 30. I line that 30 up, or that 3 up with a point on the quill. My drill is just starting to drill to get into the wood, and then I advance it, and I've advanced it 30 millimeters. Or you could do it with the English side. It doesn't make any difference. The tape is actually on here for a reason. If I don't put the tape on there, my magnets pull off. It's the way I can get separated. So, and that's a quick gist of what I just did on the demo. I can show anything else or help you or whatever.
That tool,
great tip on the
get
ruler.
the shavings out, was that made out of a screwdriver or was that an actual tool that you bought?
It was a piece of aluminum. It's a piece of aluminum that I simply put a hammer on, flatten the end off, and a slight bow into it. It's a aluminum rod, I would say.
An inch?
About quarter inch.
Okay.
That's not it's not even a quarter inch because that's 1 inch. Oh hell, that's a weird scale. I'm not sure what it is. It's a 3/32 aluminum rod that I simply pounded the end out and pounded a screw into it.
That's pretty slick, Trey.
Yeah.
And it works good for small stuff, and you hold it at a slight angle, and as the wood's coming around, it catches it and feeds it out.
Do it his next day off, but I got them all order off.
Questions or? And this is what we turn. Little maple ball, hollow form.
Great job, Trey.
New LLC.
And thanks for the tip on the ruler. That's a great thing about drilling certain depths. Thank you.
You're welcome.